The Tsar has abdicated. This will be the fall of the Russian Empire and the rise of the Soviet Union. This is only the start of the downfall of the We start off with Alexander II, who is assassinated by socialist rebels. Then we pass down to Alexander III, who dies of a sickness shortly after Alexander II's death. Then we move on down to Nicholas II, who is way too young and not fit for leadership. Now, he himself even said something like that. Not exactly, but if that's not a red flag, then I don't know what is. The Russian Empire, when Tsar Nicholas II was crowned emperor, its public status on the world stage was not very good, mainly because it was not industrialized unlike other European powers. It was still agricultural, and that's not very good because most of Russia was usually cold, as you may know. And after Nicholas built factories, because his advisors told him, even though initially he refused, the factory conditions were horrible. And so the public turned to Lenin, who promised that he would fix these issues. But soon after, he was then exiled to Siberia. The Japanese Empire had very well-equipped soldiers, unlike their Russian counterparts. They had very good bolt-action weaponry, including khaki uniforms to blend in with the terrain. They were more skillfully trained than their Russian counterparts too, making them a superior foe. Even though they had less numbers, they had more strength and skill. When the war first broke out, Russia had more troops, but not on the Eastern Front. Most of them were in the highly populated West to deal with the current riots that we had just explained about, so the Japanese Empire was able to get a quick hand on vital Russian defenses on the border. Then, we also have the Trans-Siberian Railway, which, to put it simply, is not very good. Soldiers would not be able to get to their battle stations in time, so like we said, the Japanese Empire had a quick hand on Russian-built defenses, making defending very hard. And by the time that the Russian soldiers even got there, they were already exhausted from the travel along the largest empire in history. And so the troops have finally gotten there, and they're already exhausted, and the Japanese have already pushed through major defensive points, and also the naval front is also a very important role in this battle. But the Japanese, since most of Russia's ports freeze over during the winter because they're mostly placed in Siberia, the Russians didn't have very good ships or very many, so the Japanese were able to easily dominate because they were an island nation, so they had a large navy. And so peace was concluded because Russia was losing on all fronts. They had to submit. With the help of the United States under Theodore Roosevelt, they were able to come to a conclusion of a peace deal that was not exactly in favor of Russia, because They lost a major port, which was the only one that didn't freeze over during the winter, in Manchuria, and part of a small island in the Far East. Now, these weren't major parts of the Russian Empire, but it was still humiliating because that is the first time that an Asian nation was able to beat a European nation in a war. After the war, the troops had a lovely trip back through the awful Trans-Siberian Railway back to putting down riots, but while they were gone, Lenin caused a little bit of trouble and, under disguise, made everyone revolt again, until he was exiled, this time to Switzerland, and the rebels continued until police crackdowns were able to temporarily solve the issue. Newsletters are saying that Archduke Franz Ferdinand is dead and that a great war has started, the First World War. Now, that is actually going to be left off for next episode, and what you should be expecting for next episode is more action, a little bit of a higher quality, more about the revolution and how it will start, a lot of information about World War I and Russia's involvement in it. And also, please make sure to like and subscribe. It really helps me a lot, and I hope that you learned something, and stay tuned for the next episode.